The territory of Colombia, which covers 2 million square kilometers, has undergone geological change over millions of years. Hundreds of millions of years ago, it was part of a supercontinent called Rodinia and later separated into two supercontinents, Laurasia and Gondwana. In the Cretaceous, the South American plate separated from Africa and began to move west until it collided with the Nazca Plate, which gave rise to the formation of the three Colombia mountain ranges. Over millions of years, the South American plate became insulated from other continents, leading to the development of species unique to South America. This was because oceanic waters and winds were the only means of seed and grain exchange between continents, giving rise to the exceptional biodiversity in Colombia. Colombia also experienced a huge number of electrical discharges, especially in certain regions due to its geographical location and the interaction of the gigantic maze of the Andes with the clouds. The Colombia territory contains a diversity of roads, including igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary roads, which were for over millions of the years due to geological and volcanic activity. Some areas, such as the Guiana Shield, are extremely old and have undergone unique geological processes. Colombia is located in the tectonically active zone, which have resulted in the presence of numerous geological faults. The faults are a symptom of instability and can cause earthquakes and seismic events. The Colombia mountain range vary in their geological composition. While some are made up primarily of sediment, others are made up of igneous and metamorphic rocks. Volcanic activity has been relevant in the central and western cordillera. We can conclude from this part of the chapter that geological and climatic change in Colombia over millions of years have been crucial for the country's biological megadiversity. The elevation of the mountain range and the formation of microclimates have created numerous ecological niches and have served as center of origin and refuge for many unique species in the world.
Regarding chapter 3 of the book Colombia Complex, it tells about the marine territory, changing climate, changing fauna and flora due to glaciations. It expresses that the column seabed also reflects the geology of the country, which trenches, submarine peaks and extensive continental platform, temperature, ocean currents, and underwater topography influence marine life and create diverse seascapes and underwater landscapes. Here in this image, you can see the growth of the seabed in the Pacific Ocean. The climate in column is influenced by geographic and geological factors. The temperature decreases with altitude, which gives rise to the different thermal floors and microclimates throughout the country. However, current climate conditions seem to experience change and greater complexity due to phenomena such as El Niño, which are related to the temperature in the Pacific Ocean and affect the climate and rainfall patterns in Colombia. In this image, we can show the average rainfall in the month of February and in the month of October. It specifies that the Colombia marine territory is quite diverse and is home to a wide variety of marine ecosystems. from the Gulf of Urabá to the plains of the Pacific Ocean. There are more than 20 types of marine ecosystems, including coral reef, seagrass beds, and deep sea habitats. During the Quaternary, the presence of glaciers in the Colombian mountain range had a significant impact on the fauna and flora. Although Colombia was never completely covered in ice like other regions, climate fluctuations and glacier formation influence biodiversity and life patterns in the high mountains. Here we can show the station of the Paramas and the glaciers during the last glacial. Finally, it's the worth noting Colombia is a job of megabiodiversity on the planet despite the significant transformation of more than half of its territory during the last 2,000 years. Colombia stands out as one of the countries with the greatest diversity of fauna and flora species in the world.
Talking about a forest charter, casing the interaction between our mental images of a country, the psychobiotic, real country, real people and social group have a shaped our story. At this point, I will highlight some interaction that consider essential to understand our imagined and real totally. Fertility and diversity. The psycho characters of territories facilitate a settlement and numerous groups of walkers and navigators from Asia and Oceania tens of thousands of years ago. We don't know have enough information to establish the details of their experience, but it is possible the purpose their awareness chapters this ceremony process. Firstly, in it cannot be argued that the tropical climate, the absence of seasons, and the variable average temperature with altitude about sea level combined with volcanic ashes of the mountain range were the primary factors in the enriched biodiversity they encountered and which still haunts us today. Like with this great diversity and fauna and flora, coupled with the widespread distribution of rain and water currents caused by the diversity of winds, topographic and vegetation and soils. Primarily facilitated settlement of relatively small groups of hunters will took advantage of the abundance of fruit, roads, mammals, fish, and bills of transmission of birds, and eventually studied that by small mammals and the cultivation of some plants, the existence of plateaus and the salt deposits and as cordillera, the presence to the two great rivers with their interendelt valleys and numerous plants and their valleys forest. The groups that call united to secure control over forward territories but must remain relatively insulated. A second hypothesis aims to cut up the human groups that settle immediately, of whom we know very little. Most of them were probably descendants of walkers who arrived from Asia. It is possible that some land in the Pacific coast of the long journeys from Oceania slams and primitive boats. They were all men and women survivors with an exceptional cycle.
Conditionals and individual and social skills, vigorous, fertility, stubborn, aware of their limits, but ambition and enthusiastic. It is easy to imagine that for more sensitive ones, the temptation of the climate and Caribbean Sea. She was inevitable and the most vigorous management to the ascent the Andes, cross the highland and the Sele in the coastless place, and the pallets were the found the latter of Moston. It is also possible to consider it as the most enthusiastic and ambitious continent onto Sele in Peru and Patagonia, while only the most warrior-like and socially driven individuals remain here, culpable of the defining and controlling the stereotype of the warrior. The final hypothesis is to explain why the incredibly complex symbiosis of fertility, diversity, and strength of the plants, animals, and humans do culminate in an empire like to the Inca Aztec.